Hello, everybody. Lar Ryan here from Complete Test Success, and today we are doing a live Q&A. So that means you ask me any questions you have about the IELTS test, and I'll answer them for you. So you might have questions about Task 1 or Task 2 in writing, whether you're doing general training or academic. That's absolutely fine. I'm happy to hear your questions. You might have questions with listening, IELTS reading, IELTS speaking. So that's basically it. Tell me what questions you have and I will answer them for you. Or alternatively, it might be that you don't really have a question, but more you have a problem. So if you're having some kind of a problem, you can tell me what your problem is, and I can help you to come up with solutions to overcome that issue. Domenico, welcome. Good to see you here. Audio Fiction Joe, welcome back. What have you been up to? Not very much. Just same every week, teaching IELTS mainly. That's the vast majority of it. And then a bit of family time. Hi, Usman. Good to see you here. Hi, Sabin. Welcome. Manawar, welcome to the lesson. Afan, having a hard time with matching information type of question in listening. Yes, so that's on my to-do list to make a lesson on that. I think the main thing would be really figuring out why are you struggling with that question type? Like, are you following the fact that, question 1 will be the first answer you hear, question 2 will be the second answer you hear. So you're focusing less on, what the answer is about and more on the options. And then the difficult part is that it will always be synonyms. So is the problem that you don't know the synonyms? Is the problem that you're spending too much time reading the question and not enough time listening to the audio? So like there's obviously something specific about this question that's going wrong, but can you figure out, what exactly that is? But yeah, if you have more information for me, I'll have more advice. Usman, writing is a very big deal. It's challenging for sure. I think that one of the big problems with IELTS writing and IELTS speaking is people come into it not realizing what a high standard band 7 is. So they come in, for their job or their visa or their university, they're told you need a band 7. They're like, okay, great, my English is very good. And then they realize that to get a band 7, very good English isn't enough. You need excellent English to get a band 7. So often that can be the challenge, is you come into it and your vocab and your grammar, that they're not good enough yet. And instead of just learning how to do the IELTS test, you have to learn how to do the IELTS test and improve your actual English at the same time. So yeah, it's definitely a very big challenge for most people. Great. Welcome. Good to see you here. Vidya, thanks, sir. I got my visa day today thanks to your guidance. Wonderful. Congratulations. Well done. Prince, hello. Hi, Prince. Dikshia, hello to you. Welcome to the lesson. Hi, Gurwinder. All good. All good. Thank you very much. Can we use IELTS templates? No, I don't recommend. No, because I'll tell you the truth. I've never actually seen a template. That's the truth. I've never seen a template. I've had students describe them to me and they sound like they're too generic. So you're learning sentences that you will use for your essay before you read the question. Just like your sentences won't be relevant if they're too generic. So typically, like a template might have something like, this essay will discuss both views, although it is my opinion that the latter is more significant, or something like that. So it doesn't show any understanding of the question. So really what you need is you need a better understanding of the question, and you need to apply that to the essay you're writing. If you're just writing sentences you've learned before the test, the examiner will know that, and it's not going to factor into your score. So if you have one of these sentences you learned in advance, you put that in your essay, the examiner's going to see, well, that's not connected to the essay. That doesn't count as part of your score. So even if you have some very good sentences in the essay, if they're not directly connected to the question, they're not going to be part of your score. So they don't improve your score. They reduce the opportunities you have to show your ability. And if your ability isn't good enough, then you need to improve. And that's the real solution. I'm having issues with list of headings. Is this for listening? This is for writing. I have a lesson for that. I made a lesson for that not that long ago. Let me see if I can find that for you quickly. So what did we say? List of headings. So headings for reading. I'm pretty sure I made a video for this not that long ago. Yeah, I did. Oh, not that long ago, 6 months ago. Oh my God. Okay, so that's time's going fast. Okay, let me share that with you though. So matching headings. IELTS reading. So let me just show you. I've just left a comment for you there, Minol, here. Matching headings in IELTS reading, and I just have a link to that video. Okay. Dikshia, I'm having trouble with writing task 2, particularly to elaborate the idea. So generally, the first thing you're going to do with your idea is you're going to explain it. So it will be in some way showing the connection between the question and your main idea. So when you have to elaborate your idea, it will have to be, you have to explain. An example that I use quite often is, imagine if you go to work late and your boss says, "Why are you late?" Now, a typical incorrect development would be, I'm late because I was supposed to be here at 8 o'clock, but I got here at 10 past 8. It's like your boss isn't asking you to explain the meaning of late. You don't need to say what late means. You need to connect you are late to work and how did that happen, or why did that happen? So you're going to explain, I was late because. So your explanation is always going to be the because, the why, the how. And if you're not communicating that information, you're not explaining your answer. So, just make sure that you're actually explaining the thing you're asked to explain and not just explaining what the idea means. Or another typical mistake we'll see is like, just say, for example, your main idea is it saves money. So whatever we're talking about, like using public transportation saves money. And then you need to explain that. Now, a typical mistake is students will talk about what they can do with the money. They can use the money that they've saved to spend it on, education or entertainment. It's like, we don't need to know what you can do with the money that's saved. We don't need to know why saving money is good. We need to know the connection between using public transport and saving it. So using public transport saves money because, and then you say how that happens or why that happens. So that's generally the first thing you'll need to do, is explain it. And then you can give an example. If your explanation isn't long enough to fill up your paragraph, you can go with an example to further develop that idea. Puneet, I am trying to prepare for IELTS at home, but I am failing to concentrate on it. What would you suggest me to prepare for my IELTS test by myself at home? Or why can't you concentrate? It's probably because it's so boring. It's not an enjoyable task. You can't wait until you're in the mood. You're never going to be in the mood to sit down and study IELTS. It's not enjoyable. It's boring. The reason you're doing it is because the rewards, the rewards of achieving the score they're beneficial. It's worth the effort, but it doesn't mean it's going to be enjoyable. What I'd suggest for you, I'm guessing, but it's probably you get home from work, you plan to study IELTS, you get home, like, meh, I don't want to do it today. I'm not in the mood. I'm going to go, watch the football game. I'm going to watch some TV. I'm going to go online, do something I actually enjoy. One thing that can help is to make a schedule for yourself. So make yourself a schedule and say, okay, Monday to Friday, I'll study from 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock. And make it a fixed time. So don't just say I'll study 2 hours every day. Say exactly what hours you're going to study, from when until when, and make that commitment, and make sure you do it every day. One thing that can be very helpful is to share your schedule with someone else. So if you're living with your family, or if you've got some housemates, share it with them, and that'll make you a bit more embarrassed when you don't follow it. So that can give you a little bit of a push to do it as well. But inevitably it's forcing yourself to do it. But making a schedule in advance can help, because then you feel more guilty when you don't follow the schedule. But yeah, I mean, inevitably it means giving up doing something you enjoy for doing something you don't enjoy. But it can improve your life. It can open up doors for you that wouldn't otherwise open. So it's worth doing, but nobody's going to tell you that it's fun. It's not. It's never going to be fun. My test is on 11th of March. Okay, Usman, you have another week and a half. You can still make improvements in a week and a half, but you need to make sure you're focusing on your weaknesses. And I would say, with a week and a half left, don't worry about trying to improve your vocab. It takes more time than that to improve vocab. So focus on more realistic things. Can you improve your task achievement, coherence and cohesion? You might be able to improve your grammar, maybe one grammar area in that much time, but don't take on too much. Be realistic and try to fix things that are manageable in a week and a half. And best of luck. Manowar, how to manage time for reading questions in section 4, listening mostly. I run out of time. You've confused me now, because you said reading and listening. There are 4 sections in listening, so you're probably talking about that. Time to read the questions before the audio starts. Yeah. They'll be too long, especially if they're multiple choice questions. You probably won't be able to read all of them. I'd recommend reading the longer ones first, as in, in section 4, you've got, like 2 question types. One has a lot of words, one doesn't have many words. Read the one with a lot of words first. And then you're simply going to have to try and read the other questions while listening to the audio at the same time. It's not ideal, but you just have no choice, especially when there are multiple choice questions. It's near impossible to read everything before the audio starts. I had a video there recently talking about how you can just focus on the question instead of reading the options for multiple choice. So that will reduce how much you need to read. But even with that, it's still challenging to read everything in, you have 30 seconds to read the questions. There's no break in the middle of section 4. So no, it's definitely challenging, but you're experiencing the same thing as everyone else. You just have to do the best you can with the limited amount of time that you're given. Usman, can I get your coaching course in writing? In a week. Your test is on the 11th. I think you wouldn't have time to really benefit from my writing course. You'd need a bit more time than that. So what you got? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days. It would really depend on what your previous scores are. If you're looking to improve by maybe a band, that might be possible. If you're looking to improve by a band and a half or 2 bands or more, it wouldn't. I'd need more information before I could make that decision. If you want to email me, that's my email there, lara@completetestsuccess.com. And I would just need more information from you, as in, like, how many hours can you study every day? What are your previous scores? What's your required score? Like, pretty much like every week I have people want to join my course, and I won't let them on my course because I don't think they have realistic goals. Some people get annoyed with me about that. They think that I'm being snobby or something. But like, what would be the benefit of me letting you on my course if I know I can't help you? What, let you on my course and then I know you don't have enough time to pass the test, or I don't have enough time to help you improve. So people get a bit irate with me for doing that, but I feel like that's more reasonable than the opposite. When if I know the situation is I can't help, and I let people join my course anyway, I think that's worse than turning people away. So yeah, send me an email, we can talk about it, but you would need to be quite close in a previous test to the score you need if I was to help you achieve it in 11 days. Mahmood, my exam is 25th of March. Okay, but my listening and reading score is average 25. How can I improve? My problem is on multiple choice questions, LOH, list of heading, matching, and listening section 4. I have general advice on how to improve reading and listening, so I'll just pull those up from my website and I can share them with you. But what I do with the students on my course is, sorry, just let me find these links. Okay, so I just shared 2 pages. So in the comments, I've shared 2 pages from my website. So reading and listening support. There's one link for reading and one link for listening. So that's general advice on how to improve. Excuse me. So what I was saying then, what I'll do with the students on my course is I'll get them to make a list of all the mistakes they've made. So you said that you get 25 on average correct. So what I do is I'd get you to make a list of the 15 incorrect answers that you got. So the list would include what question type each incorrect answer was. So what question type was it? And also, what did you do wrong? So what mistake did you make that resulted in the incorrect answer? That can range from you didn't know the vocab, to you didn't read the instructions carefully, to you were reading the questions instead of listening to the audio, so you missed the answer. It might be a spelling mistake. You know yourself, there are a wide range of possible mistakes. But if we have a list of every mistake you made, as well as every question type that you got wrong, we can determine if it's a particular question type that you need to adapt your strategy, or if it's a particular mistake that you can avoid easily, like read the instructions more carefully, or inevitably it will come to the point where you're not getting your score because your vocab isn't good enough or your listening isn't good enough, and you would need to improve that. But that's how I'll help students. That's how I help students improve on my course, is getting them to analyze their mistakes in that way. And then we'll sit down, look at them together, and decide what's the best course of action. What's the best plan to improve. But the analysis has to come first. So I would say, make that analysis yourself, and you might be able to figure out what you need to do to improve. Hey, Prince, you're learning English. Excellent. More power to you. Domenico, this morning I woke up to the disgusting surprise. Why? Oversharing, Domenico. Oversharing. Thank you, but I didn't really need to know that. Reading. So I'm after sharing a link to some reading resources already. So you can take a look at those. 1 month is enough to prepare for IELTS. For some people, yes. 1 week is enough for some people. I've helped people get their scores in a week, but it depends on where you are. If your English level is already good enough, as in you have the vocab, the fluency, the grammar, the pronunciation, that they're at the level you need, it does not take long to get your IELTS scores. If you need to improve any of those, that's what slows everything down. So I can teach you what to do in the IELTS test. I can, give you feedback on your mistakes. I can show you what you're doing wrong. I can show you what to do differently. That can be done quickly, but the grammar, the vocab, all the other areas, those are the things that slow you down. So is it possible? Is 1 month possible? Yes, for some people, and no for others. I've had students, it took them a year. It took them a year to get their scores because, they started low and they had a lot of work to do. But, ultimately they were willing to do the work. They gave it as much time as it needed and they got their scores. I think the majority of people will quit before they get to where they need to be. They realize that it's more work than they wanted to do, or it's more work than they expected, and they quit. So, if you need a band 7 and you're currently band 5.5, you can expect to take a year to improve yourself that much. And most people don't want to. And I think, that's it's up to you. That's an individual choice. If you're willing to give up pretty much a year of your life to get your IELTS scores, I think the majority of people, that's not something they're willing to do. So the short answer to your question is maybe. It depends. It depends on your current situation. Rizwan, hello, sir. I want to pass IELTS exam, but I don't know how to prepare for it from home. No problem. About my course. Okay, so what I can do is I can share a link to my course. Let me just find that now. Just give me one moment. Okay. Right. So I'll just share the link with you. You can click on that link. It simply says IELTS courses and a link to the courses. If you'd prefer, you can send me an email, lar@completetestsuccess.com, and we can talk about that there. But like I was saying earlier on, the first thing will be just to I'll want some information from you. I'll want to know, what's your current situation. In short, I'll want to make sure you have a realistic goal and that I can really help you. But yeah, contact me, reach out, and we can definitely talk about that. Rizwan? Dominico, so this is the first task I done this morning, which is describing English in the mundane short. Yeah, that's far from mundane, I think. But yeah, good language use anyway, Dominico. Sir, is it enough to read only Cambridge reading and listening vocabulary with synonym? I don't know what you mean, but I would guess the answer is no. Cambridge reading and listening vocabulary. So do you mean to learn vocabulary from the Cambridge reading and listening test, from the IELTS reading and listening tests? I would say it's not a good idea to learn your vocabulary from the IELTS reading and listening tests, because the vocabulary that will stand out most is the vocabulary that you didn't know and you got the answer wrong because of that. But it's very unlikely that that same piece of vocabulary is going to help you in another reading or listening test. So what you should do is just aim to improve your general level of English more naturally, rather than trying to just focus on reading and listening tests that you have seen previously and using that to improve your vocab, because you're going to end up with words that aren't very useful. So try to do it more organically, just read normal texts, newspapers, magazines, books, and pick vocab that you feel is suitable for your level. And generally, you would try to learn vocab that's already somewhat familiar to you. If you're learning vocab that you've never seen it before, there's a good chance that it's not useful. But if you're learning vocab that, you know, you're already kind of familiar with it, you feel like you've seen it a few times before, you don't really know what it means yet, those are the best types of words to learn, because you know they're used often in the English language, and those are the words you want. And also it would make it that it's suitable for your current level, because you're already becoming familiar with the word, and you'll be able to use it more quickly than, you know, random words that you've never seen before. Abdul, I'm getting 7 in listening and reading regularly. Good. How much time do I need to reach band 8 in these 2 modules? Again, it depends on the type of mistake you're making. So when you analyze your incorrect answers, if all of the mistakes are related to, you know, your approach, your strategy, those can be fixed instantly. You find out what you did wrong and you just don't do it again. So that can be very quick. But again, if it's down to, you know, your inability to listening, so it might be your listening skills, it might be you're not familiar with various accents, it might be you don't know the vocab. So if you need to improve skills like that, that's obviously going to take more time. So it depends on what your mistakes are. So the first step, again, is going to have to be analyze all your incorrect answers, figure out why you got it wrong, what mistake you made, or what weakness you have, and then address those things. I can't say how long it will take. You know, it depends on what type of mistake it is. It could be very quick. It could take, you know, a few months. So it just depends. I've reached a band 7, but how can I get 7.5 in writing? I have reached a 7 in writing after 3 or 4 months, but now I want to learn uncommon words that can be used in essay for 7.5. No, I mean, the goal, it's not a vocabulary test. You know, vocab is part of the test, but you have to consider everything. It's your task achievement. It's your coherence and cohesion, your vocab and your grammar. So it's not about using uncommon words. In fact, the best essays will have will use common words, because those are the words that communicate most clearly. So it's not about using uncommon words. It's about having an appropriate range and using them accurately, not using words that people don't normally use. If you're using words that people don't normally use, that's not going to be as clear as using words that everybody uses. So I wouldn't go looking for uncommon words. I would just continue improving your vocab in the way you always have. Don't go looking for special words, but also don't neglect your task achievement, your coherence and cohesion, and your grammar. You know, if you're following the route of, you know, learning uncommon vocab being the answer, being the solution to all your problems, you're not going to get a band 7.5. So by all means, continue learning vocabulary, but not. I just don't like the sound of uncommon words. It sounds like you're not not focusing on normal, everyday language that actually will get you a good score. Puneet, very welcome. No problem. Herman, I'm getting a 7 in writing, but I still stand 5.5. I'm getting 7 in writing, but I still stand 5.5. How can I improve my writing score? So is it that you need a 7? Maybe you mean you need a 7, but you're at 5.5. Well, you need to improve everything. If you're at a 5.5, you need to improve your task achievement and your coherence, cohesion, and your vocab and your grammar. You need to improve everything. So, I mean, work on everything. There aren't any band scores at the moment that are at a band 7. If you're getting 5.5, everything is below the standard you need. So you need to improve everything. It's just more study. I would even say it might be the case where you would stop even thinking about IELTS for now. Just study English. Go 100% focus on English, and then when you come back later to IELTS, learning the IELTS exam skills will be easier when your language ability is stronger. So it would probably be more efficient to just move away from the IELTS test, focus on English, and then come back a little bit later. I think overall that would be faster for you. Can you tell some tips for list of heading matching in reading? Yeah, I shared some resources for that already. If you just have a look, yeah, so just let me show you here. So it's above your comments. So if you go to the older comments, just about 4 or 5 before yours, you'll see that there, matching headings in IELTS reading. So just click on that link that I shared earlier, and you'll have that. Okay, so we saw that already. I'm after losing my place, am I? Okay. Audio Fiction Joe. Sir, I'm doing listening today and I keep missing the question. I know the previous question, but missed the next one. So it sounds like when you hear the answer, you put all your attention on the question and you stop listening to the audio, and then you miss the audio. This happens a lot in multiple choice questions. So when you hear the answer and then you got 3 or 4 options to choose from, but they have synonyms. So now you're reading the options and trying to choose which is the correct answer, but the audio is continuing. So now you're not listening to the audio, and the audio is giving you the answer for the next question, but you're still looking at the options. So I'd recommend just make a short note of the answer, and then continue listening, and then you can match the answer with the options later. I'm guessing it's multiple choice because it sounds like the problem that happens with multiple choice questions, but I might be wrong. So give me more information if you can, but I would guess that's the situation that you're describing. Can in reading every single type of question per day increase the score or understanding? No. Like, practice tests will get you good at the test, but they're not going to help you improve your English. So like I said, if you're getting answers wrong because you don't know the vocabulary, the solution is improve your vocabulary. The solution isn't to do more practice tests, it's to fix the problem. So, make sure you're analyzing your mistakes and you understand what your issues really are. How can we generate an idea for speaking part 2? I would say generally you don't want to invent stories. You can normally just talk about a real experience that you've had, and that way you're not generating your ideas, you're just talking about your experience. And that means you just need to focus on the language. You just need to focus on communicating. So yeah, I don't think you should be generating ideas. Like in the writing test, they give you a scenario and you have to think of ideas to respond to the scenario. But in part 2 of speaking, you're asked to describe an experience. So I don't see any reason why you wouldn't just describe a real experience. It puts less pressure on you, and you don't need to think of ideas. So maybe I'm misunderstanding your question, but that's what I would encourage you to do anyway. I'm free now. I need 6.5 bands in writing. Okay, yep, Osman, just send me an email. Send me an email there. Or you can join the waiting list on my course. I shared my course page as well. So you can join the waiting list there or send me an email. Either one is fine. Hey, Sharon, doing good? Welcome to the lesson. Good to see you here. Hi, Lynn. Abdi Fatah, you're very welcome. No problem at all. Mabadul, is it possible to jump from 6 to 7 in writing within 1 month? Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen it many, many times. Definitely. Jessa, I have scored 8 in writing, but how can I achieve 9 in writing? It's the same. Like if you're trying to get from a 6 to a 7, 7 to an 8, 8 to a 9, it's the same process. It's going to take longer, but it's the same process. So you need to improve your task achievement and your coherence and cohesion and your vocab and your grammar. But the thing is, like to go from a 6 to a 7 in grammar, that's difficult. To go from a 7 to an 8 is more difficult, and from an 8 to a 9 is even more difficult. So it's not like they're not even steps. Each step gets bigger every time. So like, don't expect to get from an 8 to a 9 in a short amount of time. Like you're basically going from being fluent to being native level. Like, you can speak English at the same level, if not even better than your first language. So, if you compare your first language with English, would you say your first language is better? The answer is probably yes. And that's the level you need to be at in English, if not even higher. There are some people like some people who wouldn't have the writing and speaking skills, like the people I know whose first language is English, who wouldn't be able to get a band 9 in writing, and well, probably in speaking, but not in writing. That they wouldn't have the proficiency with, like, spelling and grammar and punctuation and all that. That they'd actually need to study English themselves, even though English is their first language. So yeah, how do you do it? Stay studying. My reading and listening tips are not working. So again, you need to figure out what are you doing wrong. Like, the tip is analyze your mistakes, see what your mistakes are, and fix your mistakes. So there's going to be something wrong with that process. If the tips aren't working, it's, are you analyzing your mistakes properly? Are they specific enough? A very common problem we see is students will say, I got the answer wrong because the question is too difficult. And that's not helpful. Like, the question is too difficult. How do you fix that? You can't. You need to be more specific. So find out specifically what issues you're having, and then you need to address them. Obviously, I'm not helping you one-on-one here. I'm giving you advice on how to fix it. But if you're to join my course, we would sit down together and I'd be able to, give you more support with that as well. But no, I'm quite confident that they do work. I've seen it work many, many times. That's not to say it's easy. I'm not trying to pretend it's easy, but I've seen that strategy work over and over again. So I'm quite confident that it does work. Oh, but reading page can't be found. I don't know what's happening there. It might be an internet connection. I have it open in front of me. It's working for me right now. So I'm not sure. What's going wrong there. Okay, I got a lot of questions left, and I would like to finish everybody's. I'd like to get through everybody's. So let me try and go a little bit faster. First exam time, I got 6.5 in speaking, but last month I was so confident and had fully prepared for getting 7 in the same, but I achieved 5.5. Why? That's a big drop. I'd have gone for an EOR. I'd probably go for an EOR in that situation. I mean, first, before you would go for an EOR, you got to decide, is there any reason why? Can you think of any reason why? So it would typically be this. The topic was a topic that you're not familiar with and that you're not comfortable with, so your vocab wasn't as good. Or you're very nervous on the day, so your fluency wasn't as good. And because of that, you got a lower fluency score. But even with that, if you got a lower fluency and vocab score, you'd be at a 6, not a 5.5. So first, decide by yourself first. Can Can you think of a good reason why it was 5.5? Can you think of any logical reason to explain why that happened? And if you can, don't go for an EOR. If you feel like your performance was at least the same, at least it was as good, maybe a little bit worse, but definitely not way worse, I'd probably go for an EOR. The reason I don't like recommending EORs is that you can lose money. So obviously you have to make the decision: can you afford it financially? If your scores don't improve, you will lose that money. If your scores do improve, they will reimburse you. But one thing I can say is that they're very, very honest. When they're remarking the tests, they're very, very honest. And if you deserve a higher score, they will give it to you. So I would say that consider an EOR. And what'd you say? When was it? Last month. Is it too late for an EOR? Maybe it's gone too long. We're at the 28th of February today. You might still be able to go for an EOR. I'm not sure, but you'll have to check. It would have had to been late last month before you could. Hello to you. Welcome to the lesson. Amadul, there are some AI-generated speaking feedback out there. Is it possible for AI to assess my speaking? I haven't seen any. I've seen AI pronunciation feedback. It's pretty good. It's not fantastic. It's pretty good. I haven't seen any AI to give feedback on IELTS speaking. I feel like it's probably not good enough yet. But just as you mentioned that, I just made a video yesterday on ChatGPT, the AI chatbot. So I'll have a video. I'll post it later this week. I'll post it sometime this week. But it's how to use that chatbot, the ChatGPT, how to use that AI to help you with your writing. It's actually fantastic. It's a great piece of software. So I have a few tips on how to use that to improve your writing. But for speaking, I'm not aware of any AI that would be capable of doing that. For the computer, you don't do anything differently, really. You just type your answers instead of writing by hand. Everything else is the exact same. So just make sure you can type. If you're not good at typing, you might want to work on that. Sharon, can we practice more writing essays for part 2 by the way of mentioning important points for the answering of the questions? So I think what you're asking is, can you practice by writing plans? So instead of writing full essays, just write plans. Yes, I do advise that. If your problem is task achievement, writing lots of plans instead of writing lots of essays will mean you're getting more practice with what you're trying to do. So if that's what you're asking, then the answer is yes. Thank you, Prince. Academic Task 1, I'm paraphrasing. You'll find all of it on my website. If you just go search on Google for Complete Test Success, you'll find all of that stuff. You'll find all that stuff on my website. Domenico, sir, when I describe an activity to myself that I do every day, I can talk about it, but I tend to use more simple words to describe the chore in my first attempt. However, when I put the idea down, I always identify the missing vocabulary and some minor mistakes. How can I get the description more detail on my first attempt? I think just continue doing what you're doing. What you're doing is you're improving your language. And then, what you say are simple words. Whatever you think are simple words will be subjective to your level. So, if you're up here, there are a lot more words that you think are simple than if your level is down here. So your level will dictate what you think are simple words, and the better you get, the more words you think are simple. But you didn't think they were simple last year, you think they're simple now. That's always going to be the case. Sir, I do speak English very well, but I don't have any idea related to IELTS. So is there some weakness? I always struggle connecting ideas. How do I do that? So there is always some weakness. I always struggle connecting ideas. Not really sure. I'd have to hear you speaking. I don't know what you mean by some weakness with connecting ideas. I don't really know what that means. So I'm not sure what the solution would be, but I'm sure if I heard you speaking, I would be able to kind of figure out what's wrong. No, I can't help you right now. I don't fully understand that question. If you want to give me more information, I'll be happy to take a look. What is the main difference between yes, no, not given and true, false, not given in reading comprehension? I mean, regarding strategies in fine and comprehension, the answers. No difference. They're the exact same. Yes, no, not given is related to the opinion of the writer, and true, false, not given is related to the information in the text. But the way you approach those is no different. The way you answer them is the exact same. The way you the strategies, no difference at all. Tips for listening. So you'll find that again on my website. I shared a link earlier on for that. So just take a look through the comments and you'll find a link that I shared for the listening component. Hey, Kazi. How can I get 9 out of 9 overall? Be fluent. Be fluent in English and have perfect exam strategies. People rarely don't need a band 9 though. Like, figure out what score you need and aim for that. If you need a band 7 to get into your university, aim for a 7. If you need a band 8, aim for an 8. But there's no point in aiming for a 9 if it's not the score you need. I would recommend just get the score you actually need and move on with your life. Don't go trying to get a band 9 in IELTS. It's not, if it's not beneficial to you to do it, I would say just don't bother. Okay, Sadie, sir, I am good at other 3 modules of IELTS, but I'm afraid of reading module. It seems like if I take the main exam, I'm going to get a horrible band score in this module. How to overcome this? So we've been talking about this today, Sadie. I shared a page with you already. Take a look at that, but it's also about analyzing your mistakes. So if you've joined us late, maybe you can go back and watch the recording. Once we stop this live stream, the recording will be available on YouTube and Facebook. But we've discussed this already, so I won't repeat myself. Just for the other students that that they've heard me say it already. I'm sure they don't want to listen again. Okay, Hala. Yeah, good. Sounds good. Audio fiction show, also stuck on short questions, fill in the blank. Yeah, so it's the same strategy. Like, take a look at what you're doing wrong and try to fix that. In reading comprehension, passage 3 mostly run out of time, and most of the time I do 11 out of 13 in passage 2 and 1. When you're working on improving your scores, don't try to finish the test in 60 minutes. Give yourself enough time to improve. Give yourself enough time to finish the test. So, even if you spend 90 minutes, doing the test, what you want to do is you want to learn from your mistakes. So give yourself more time, figure out how to improve your score. Once you've improved your score, then you start working on reducing how long it takes you to get that score. So don't worry about the timing yet. I got 5.5 in speaking. How can I improve it? So again, it depends on what score you need. Like, if you need a band 6, I would recommend that you figure out, like, so for fluency, vocab, grammar, and pronunciation, you got 2 band 6s and 2 band 5s. So figure out which 2 did you get a band 5 for, or band 5 in, and improve those. If you need a 7, it doesn't really matter yet because you need to improve everything. So spend time working on your fluency, spend time working on your vocab, on your grammar, and on your pronunciation. But you need to do those 4 things separately. You can't just improve your speaking in one swoop. You need to do each one at a time. Hi, Miss Lou. I'm doing good. Thank you. Rushit. I got 5.5 in reading, 6.5 overall. Shall I reappear or take EOR? It depends how much your scores need to improve, and it depends if you got a higher score in previous tests or even in practice tests. Is there some reason why you think it should be higher, or do you just wish it was higher? You know, if it's just that you hope it is, that's not a good reason. If you have like evidence to suggest that your score deserves to be higher, then by all means you can go for an EOR. Exact same criteria. The criteria doesn't change. That's the exact same as before. But what they do in the EOR is you get the examiner trainer. So it's not the examiner, it's a higher level, a person of at a higher position in IELTS will do the EORs. So it's the same criteria, just a more even more qualified person. I have a writing phobia. I have been hesitating for over a year to take this test. How can you help me to overcome this problem, please? I think just jump in, and I mean, if you think you're prepared, just jump in and force yourself to do it. Ask someone else to book the test for you, and then you have a test date and you can just work towards it. Is your phobia real? Is it because you know you're not good enough? Then, you know, work on improving. If your phobia, if you think it's irrational, book the test, jump in, see what happens. If you fail the test, you can do it again. So it would really depend on whether you think your fear is based on your inability or your fear is irrational. And you know, if it's because of your ability, take action. If it's irrational, you know, just say to someone in your family, just like, look, I'm afraid to book the test. Can you do it for me? Get them to book it. Then it's kind of, the wheels are in motion. You know, if it's already booked and the money's been spent and you have your date, you'll just go and you'll do it. Okay, so we saw that already. Domenico, the truth of the matter is that my level of proficiency has definitely grown. So every time I get to use new words for a while, I feel that the words I used a month ago become simple to me. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Ruby Naz, hi. I want to know if we need 4.5 band so much every module 4.5 or overall 4.5. It depends on who you are giving your IELTS certificate to. They decide what's acceptable. So, you know, if you're using your IELTS certificate to apply to a university, they are the people who decide if this is acceptable or if it can be minimum 4 or whatever. So you need to contact the institute that will accept your score, and they will be able to tell you that. Okay. Abdi, sir, I speak English well, but the thing I always struggle with is that connecting ideas. For example, I want to talk about specific topic, once clear idea. How do I overcome? Maybe you're not giving yourself enough time to think. Take a few seconds to think of what you want to say before you start speaking. We see it very often in the IELTS test where, you know, the examiner asks the question and instantly the candidate starts to speak, but they have no idea what they want to say. So, you know, they're talking, they don't know what they want to say, and that's more stressful because then, you know, the sentence has started, don't know how the sentence is going to end. You're putting yourself under more pressure. The ideas aren't coming. Compare that to just stay quiet, think about what you want to say, and then start speaking. And you know, you're not under as much pressure. Maybe that's the situation that might help. Okay, so we saw that. Domenico, sir, I kind of identified my weakness, which is my pronunciation. That's why I don't get to add more detail to anything I want to describe to myself. With pronunciation, just work on one mistake at a time. So, you know, you might have 4 or 5 things that you do wrong, but just choose one of them and work on fixing that. And once you fixed it, then move on to the next one. Hamza, you're very welcome. What's the main difference regarding strategies to find the answer in comment? So, yeah, we talked about that already. Okay. I got to the end of the list. That was everybody's questions answered. I didn't think I was going to get through them all, so that's good. Okay, I forgot to share a link. I think most of you are familiar with my channel already, but I have free live feedback lessons on Zoom every week. So those are my group classes, free group classes on Zoom. So check out that comment. Actually, the link is in the video description as well. Sign up for those. I have a free live feedback lesson tomorrow. So if you want to click on that link and sign up, you can join me tomorrow. I also have another live stream next week. And like I said, I have that video coming out for about ChatGPT later this week. Some of you are talking about getting one-on-one support from me. Just reach out, send me an email, and we can talk about that. And I think that's pretty much it for today. Those of you who have tests coming up soon, best of luck to you. And yeah, bye-bye for now. Take care, everybody.